Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division with various wins for the big game tournament here in Golf Clash at the game. We're gonna play a mix of the Juniper Point, the Eagle Peak, and also to be the Milano. But what you have to have in mind before you start watching this playthrough is that the videos will not just be tailwinds. And why do I say that? Is because we do have a modifier, or two modifiers actually, that is no par 3, so it's par 4s and par 5s only, but also that we do have tailwinds only. But in this playthrough, I do go through very thorough and explain to you how to play the different holes with various winds, and also showing you with various winds, so just have that in mind before you start watching. Hit the thumbs up button. Yes, please. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. That helps the channel immensely. You can also scan the QR code here on screen or use the link patreon.com/golfclashatomy that you can find in the video description down below. What that means is that you get to our platform where we do have all our premium guides. Checkpoint challenge, tour play, and tournament play. So if you do want to get into the action, do like thousands have done already to start improving your game even more to get an edge in this beautiful game called Golf Clash, then you subscribe today. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also ball and club type I do suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Remember when I played this hole the first time, I thought it was a really difficult hole, thinking like how would we drop this one consistently. But as my knowledge has improved and the community's knowledge overall has improved, this is, in my opinion, at least from the 13 Master Division, par 5 where I do expect myself to drop, and I'm gonna explain why. Start with the rock and a P4 ball at max rest. I'm using the right side fairway here, and the reason for that I will explain during the second shot. I do swap to a poke to allow myself to continue with the power 4 ball. Otherwise, I'm going to have to force myself playing with a power 5 ball, which is not something I want. I do want to give myself the possibility to use a precision ball as well. When it comes to the true elevation for this drive, it's 0% if we do play on the left hand side, but when it comes to the right hand play, then it's going to be 20%. You can see me switching in the info box there as well. On the second shot, we're playing into a funnel, and that's why the right side play is superior to the left side play. It's all about finding the correct position, but now we are this is a par 5 at the Eagle Peak that we played so many times that we know what to do. So I'm setting a ring reference here, as you can see, with the white ring there to the left, and then the red ring where the shadow meets the fairway. Then applying spin so the ball guideline is going back down the green like that, ball guideline through the hole. The intention here with this type of shot now is that I want the ball to come in left side of the pin, which will then roll up into the funnel to roll back towards the green, towards the pin. You can drop shots with a great left and a great right here. It's all about how you come in with the ball. If you're too far left or too far right of the pin, it's going to miss on the other side, because you can see here now with going left, that would come in and miss right, going right would come in and miss left. But if you do catch the funnel being approximately half a green square left or right of the pin, the ball will fall back and it will more or less always drop for an albatross. So hole number 9 of the Eagle Peak is definitely an albatross fest, in my opinion. For hole number 4, Juniper Point, we're going to send it to green. Max top spin, 1.5 bar of left spin, and we're looking to start at max P5 line. You can see here as well that I'm using the red ring to be by the rough line to the left. Here, this is play, or what can we say, this is par 4 where having a headwind, it's impossible for you to make it over the water and it's going to be too much risk. So then you lay up on the right, and then you have a long arrow from distance, and that's actually a finicky one. It's not a simple one at all. But if we do have a tailwind or we do have a crosswind, we are going to send it. And then you have two things to choose between. One, you do a standard play, which is a max overpower trying to hit perfect. And you have the second part, which is that you are going for some sort of a power hook. And that's obviously up to you to decide, because there is risk with both. There are also positive things with both. In the end, if you're lucky, you can drop the hole in one. Not something that I expect to do, because there's many things that's gonna have to go the right way. But you will definitely see people having hole in ones on their scorecard here. And hole number 4, unit per point. On the drive, I'm choosing play with a Thor's Hammer. We do want to maximize the top spin. Thor's Hammer level 8 starts at plus 27, and then max for Thor's Hammer level 7 and Thor's Hammer level 6. I would strongly advise to play with a top spin boost ball, such as an Albatross ball, if you do play with Thor's Hammer level 6 or even below, and go just full boost that you do have with that ball. With Thor's Hammer level 7 or level 8, you can play with a Luminary, and that's why I'm choosing to display this video here. We adjust max plus 30 P5, and then we're pushing up 10 yards. As we're always going to be in plus yardage, it's yards that we're going to push up, not rings. 3/4 of a ball in right curl, and we're going to try to hit perfect. Great left and great right are fine. And I would say that try to avoid playing with a strong 1159, because that could technically risk you having the first bounce into the rough. But again, that's a massive error if you would do that. You can play with other top spin boost balls if you would like, if you want to spend something else. I would recommend though the power, because the power will be necessary on the second shot. So I would pick between the power 5 ball. Maybe a power 4 top spin boost ball could be a possibility as well, which will give us a distance and not give us any crap when it comes to the second shot. Second shot, I would prefer to play with the Cataclysm. You can play with Cat 6+. If you do not have Cat 6+, then you use the Big Dog. This because we do want to have the 7 bars of top spin. 7 top spin, 2 left spin now. The important part here now is to look at, I would say, the third bounce is going to be. But obviously, you know, with lower level Cat or Big Dog, you won't see the rollout as we do on Cat 7 or 8. So it's going to be a little bit more of an estimation. But the important part is to try to mimic the second and the third bounce. And then adjust this max plus 10 P5 from plus 17. 75% of the ball outside to the left in curl. And try to hit perfect. Ball will bounce on the fairway, into the rough, and then roll out on the pad. And now we do have an end-bringer to pin, which is going to be a fairly simple one. But this second shot, I would say, is the one that requires the most focus, because you're going to have to really position yourself correct, or you might risk going into the rough or into the sand or something like that. It's still a makeable eagle from there, but it's just so unnecessary, where we otherwise would be having a wedge to pin. Obviously, if you fall short on drive, you're not getting the rollout, which unfortunately will happen. Then you're going to have to estimate how much rings of overpower you're going to have to use, and then use that as overpower. But let's hope that we're not going to come to that. Alright, the third shot is going to be an Endbringer School version, and it's not going to be with no spin, because here the idea is to always have our first bounce centered on the fringe. So we check the EB School, looking at it to see what slider percentage to have, just as normal. But then it's going to be around 1 to 2 backspin, depending on what you need to get the first bounce centered on the fringe like that. So now it's 20% elevation, P5 numbers with the slider that you get from checking your distance, obviously, just as normal. Perfect ball is going to be in here. So this is a nice way to lock in the eagle. Again, hole number 9 is a tough one. It requires full focus on 3 shots instead of just 2 on other holes. So this is a hole where you will see some players getting a birdie because they're not paying attention. They might mess up shot 1 or 2 or even shot 3. And unfortunately, that's going to be something that a lot of players will do. If you do want to get the guide for Pro, Expert or Master, you scan the QR code on the screen or you go to patreon.com/golfclash. Tommy. On the drive here on this Eagle Peak hole and number 1, a par 4 of the Eagle Peak, we start at the P0 max rest with our Apocalypse setting in 3.5 bar topspin. And you can see that we do have the blue ring by the rough line as well. Adjust is going to be max plus 20. And once we have done that, we're going to center the ball in it. Perfect. What you need to have in mind here is that you do not have to play with a power 0 ball. You can play with a power 1, power 2, power 3. The intention with this type of play is to lay up short and then play into the funnel on the approach. Now, when we do have precision balls, it is obviously so much more easy to lay up with this type of wind angle. But for those of you that do want to send it, you can do so as well in this type of wind angle. You do have to be a little bit lucky bouncing on that upslope by the bunker to get the ball to green, but that can be done with a berserker or a regular snow globe. On the second shot here now with the layup, we do go for the rough bump. Here you can either go for the rough bump or you can go and just bounce on the fairway up onto the hill to roll back. What I do like with the rough bump though is that we do play into the same type of funnel. And what it does is that it takes away, like bouncing into the rough, you can see how short our bounce from the first bounce to the second bounce is. And that's the benefit from doing a rough bump here. If, again, you do not feel confident with a rough bump, you can go with backspin and land it on the fairway up over the rough and use the slope on the green that I'm still going to do. Again, that's going to have higher bounces and needs to then become more compensated for the wind. Perfect ball it is, and you can see we clip the rough nicely, roll down onto the green, into the funnel, and then when it rolls back, it comes down and dropping nicely for an eagle. Many different ways of playing this par 4, but no matter what though, this shall be in Master Division a drop if you're gonna have anything to do with any top spot in the tournament. Take your game to the next level with our Ultimate Tournament Text Guide for the big game tournament here in Golf Clash the Game. We're going to play a mix of the Eagle Peak, Juniper Point and the Milano, and the modifiers for this one is that we do have no par 3s, it's only par 4s and par 5s combined with only tailwind. So it's going to be a lot of drops here is what I suspect. And if you do want to have yourself a good chance to get to the weekend round, then you make sure to subscribe to our service. We offer premium guides for expert and master division to get yourself to the weekend round. And for those that do want to fight for top spots, you have the possibility as well. Once you do sign up, you get instant access to all the content. We obviously have a support line as well through email, but also through Telegram that will be open for all the followers on Patreon. So scan the QR code here on the screen or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy. That is in the link, is in the description down below. The drive is a bit tricky, and we're going to start with quarterback at max P3 line, red ring by the rough line, then swapping to a pock and sniper bag, max top spin and 0.8 left spin. We have tested the drive for a pock 8, 7, 6, 5. All of those values we are adding, we have tested with, so there is absolutely no guess behind that. Adjust max plus 10 P4, and this is going to be the zone where we are just into do nothing. There will be a headwind zone as well, where we need to push up 2 yards extra when it comes to the standard values. You will all see in the table. Looking to get to around 410 yards, which is absolutely ultimate. Here you can play with any P3 plus side spin 2 plus wind 5 ball. So you don't have to play with a P3 precision here, but obviously that's very helpful on the approach. On the second shot, we are going to do a check where the top of the white ring is by the rough meets the sand. 2 right spin, half a bar of backspin to start with. That's spin 1. Now we're looking to have the ball guideline where it just goes longer through the hole. And once we have found that spot, we are going to swap and do no top or backspin and 2 right spin. Adjustment here now is gonna be from +9, we play 68% slider, plus 10% elevation, P3 numbers, adding or subtracting 0.1 for every 2 yards. Adjust is done, then we're centering the ball, and we do hit perfect. Even though this is a good chance for a drop, this is never going to be a shot that is gonna be in every time, because there are a lot of moving things happening during the way here, and that's something to have in mind. But in a worst case scenario, it will be an eagle. Get our guide on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Hole number 8, the drive is simple. It's an NMT, which means that you're not going to touch the target until it's time to adjust the reins. 2 left spin and 3 as you can see there, 3.3 top spin is what I would like to use. Adjustment is max +10 P5. And once we have made our adjustment, we are going to use both curl and overpower. So adjustment is done. And then we are applying the overpower. You can see the rubber band that goes down from the ball. You want the right side to be just by the edge of the gap of the circle there at the top. Max overpower with a slightly slower needle. Now 2 things can happen. 1, you clip the rough and roll out. You're going to be at 375 yards. Then you're using the reference that will be a normal thorn bounce up. And then we do have the other one, which is if you don't clip the rough, then you're going to be either an endbringer, which is the one that is recommended, or it's going to be a thorn backdoor shot. So obviously we have videos and references for all that. So drive, simple enough, and we're getting over there and have a nice chance for an eagle. When it comes to the second shot, if we are clipping the rough, we're gonna do a fringe check where the fringe meets the green, and that is +4. We're gonna have our base at +5, and +5 is gonna be 36% elevation. It's 36% slider, plus 10% elevation, P5 numbers. Always half a bar backspin here, ball guideline into the hole, and we're going to pull over bullseye always. Making the adjustment. Center the ball and hit perfect, and this is going to be a really good chance. And as explained in the other videos as well, it's nice to have backup on a backup, so we always have a chance, a solid chance for an eagle on hole 8, which in my opinion is going to be a must if you're going to be at the top of the leaderboard. For the backdoor option here, we're gonna do a rough line check, which is at the second line between the dark and the darker rough, or whatever we would like to call it. And +5 is what we're gonna use as base. And now we're going to have the ball guideline going into the hole, not through the hole and not short, into the hole. Pull over bullseye always, and in this video I do estimate that I do over adjust with 0.3. So what I would like you to use as a base is a 30% slider, and with 10% elevation, power 5 numbers. That's what I would estimate it to be based on this close miss here. But please take a look at the other references for Endbringer, but also for the normal bounce up shot with Thorn. When it comes to using the Endbringer here, we want to keep ourselves into plus yard, preferably without spin.
in. But if we are a little bit longer than that, I would recommend to use a little bit of backspin to make sure that we keep ourselves in plus yardage. And in this case, we are at +1. What we're gonna do here now is that we're gonna use a little trick here by using the plus yardage as reference. +3 is gonna be max +45 P3 numbers. And for every plus yardage below that, we're gonna deduct half a ring in adjustment. And if we do have a plus yardage that is higher than that, then we add half a ring. And that for Endbringer level 7 and level 8 because it has the same accuracy. When it comes to Endbringer level 5 and 6, we are adding 0.4 rings. If we have plus yardage that is about +3, and we deduct 0.4 ring for every plus yardage below +3. And in that way, we do have a very nice and simple reference for the Endbringer, and we can always set the slider at max +45 P3 and have it drop. But you decide if you do want to go the Thorn backdoor shot or you do the Endbringer. I personally suggest the Endbringer, but it's up to you to decide. Get the guide on patreon.com/golfclashtommy.
For hole number 6, a par 5 of the Eagle Peak. Here we're gonna play P0 NMT. I'm using all the top spin together with a little bit of right spin with my Apocalypse. Here you can stay with a power 0 ball if you would so like, but I would recommend to play with at least a power 2 ball. This will allow you for some plus yardage on the approach. I mean, a P1 ball will work as well, but at least not try to play with a power 0 ball. Then you may be wondering, why do I play with that in the video? It's because at this stage we only had P0 precision balls that had win 5. So in that case, I try to design shot using that ball sometimes, because obviously with precision, with a wood club shot is going to be extremely valuable. Now, we want to go straight down like this, doing a double bounce over towards around 430 yards. If you do have a headwind from the 30, you can't really go down left. You're going to have to go right. And if you have to go right, you're going to have to pack a wood club that do have a lot of power and expect yourself to be not dropping this hole all the time, because from the right side, it's definitely much harder to drop the albatross than what it is from here to the left. So now I'm looking for a specific spot, and obviously having more, having more power on my club, that will allow me to be more flexible with my position. Now I'm just using the max line and having the ball guideline approximately 1 green square short of the hole. And the reason for the 1 green square short of the hole is to allow myself to not come in too hot, and also to stay away from having to respin or having to do some sort of underpower, or yeah, something like that. Make the adjustment. This is a shot that do play like uphill, meaning that we're going to play a negative elevation. So minus 10% is what I'm using as per default. But as always, when it comes to approach shots, you can design that so many different ways. So don't be afraid to change the elevation if you feel that's needed. Perfect ball it is. We're going to clip the rough. There's loads of rough to play on. And we roll up towards the pin, dropping nicely for an albatross. For hole number 1, if there is a tailwind, we are going to send it. If it's not a tailwind, we're going to lay up on the right hand side and attack the pin with a long iron or a short iron from distance. Now 4.5 bar topspin, I'm not using any side spin. When we do have a wind like this, there's definitely a chance for an hole in one. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's going to be an easy one, but there will definitely be players shooting that hole in one. Stretch out the max, bullseye by the rough line, and we are then adjusting max +10, and it's going to be variable push-up depending on wind strength and also wind angle to be consistent. You can obviously push up a random amount and just scream YOLO and hope for the best, but it's always best to have a plan. Perfect ball it is, and you can see here now that we are bouncing on the first fairway, on the other fairway, and then into the rough to roll for a wedge. And this is obviously a super simple way of getting the eagle. With some right spin, we would have been flirting with the hole in one, but it's still the eagle that we want to lock in first and foremost, and then having an outside chance for an hole in one. For hole number 3 of the Eagle Peak, I've always shown in playthrough, I've been showing layups. So now we're gonna send it. We're aiming at the tree, using that green tree as a reference, and then we're adjusting from there. You can see here now that I'm not adjusting much, and the reason for not adjusting much is because I'm using a fixed aim point and then only adjusting the difference between 16.0 miles per hour and what wind I have. So in this case, I adjust in 0.3 rings, then we're moving left to I make a power shot, which is all fun. I mean, there's loads of room on this fairway, so even I personally can consider doing a shot like this, where otherwise would most definitely just be a layup person here. So we're doing like one ball of right curl together with a full power hook to the left. Intention here now is to hit the fairway and then roll. Come on, ball. So we do want the ball to roll through the rough, and from here we either had a short iron or we do have a wedge. I would say it's much more reasonable to think that a wedge is going to be the play if you do have a high wind off tee, because you're obviously going to carry longer and roll longer. When it comes to lower wind, such as like 16, 17 and stuff like that, you should expect yourself a thorn. But if you do have a backup, knowing what to play with both type of clubs, then it's not really going to be a problem. But if you do get to the wedge, I do recommend to use all the topspin boosts if you have that possibility, and then make an adjustment from there. So here in this instance, we are playing a no spin EB school that is plus 20% elevation P5 numbers, and a topspin boost 4 EB school that plays minus 55% elevation P4 numbers. This is all what you prefer, but obviously with a lot of topspin and boost, with that, you're going to minimize the time the ball is going to be in the air, and therefore also minimize the amount that the ball will be affected by the wind. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this playthrough for Master Division with various wind. Make sure to scan the QR code here on the screen and go directly to patreon.com/golf-tommy. That is via the link in the description down below. This for our premium guides. We offer premium guides for all the game modes in Golf Clash. Thank you once again for watching. I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.